Hi there guys, my name's Michael.
And my name's Tim.
And you're watching TMI.
That's the Tim and Michael Information Show.
Today we're going to talk about, well, every single episode we're going to talk about art and general art things. Both Tim and I are in the art industry, as it were. And we're both from different kind of tracks of it. And we're not professionals yet.
Almost there. we'll get there eventually.
But we want you to get there too. But as we're learning things, we think it's great that we kind of share what information we're learning so that maybe we can all be professionals one day. And what are we talking about today?
I think today we're going to talk about artistic burnout.
Artistic burnout.
Yes.
Or drawer's block, as some of you writers may be easier to call it. So what we're going to do is we're going to set 10 minutes.
10 minutes or so, yeah.
Because Tim and I talk a lot.
Yes, we do.
And we're going to try and short this out for you guys. So we get 10 minutes on our magical clock.
You know, we didn't even talk about this beforehand. Let's see if we can distill all this information down into 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay. So let's go.
All right, cool. So drawer's block, or I guess if we want to encompass all branches of creativity, we could call this creativity block, creative block.
And as you guys know, that's any time you just hit a wall and you know you have to work on something or want to work on something and you just can't. You're stuck with a white canvas, you're stuck at a screen, you don't know what you're supposed to do. You've experienced this, I'm sure.
All the time. All the time.
And I've experienced it a lot more when I was starting to write, especially. I just didn't know what to do because I was a drawer first. But first, before we get into some bigger things, what are tactics that you found help you when you're in that little block?
You know, one thing that happens to me a lot when I am in a creative block setting, I find that it's usually because I'm overwhelmed. Maybe I'm overwhelmed with a project. I don't know where to take it. I don't know how to execute something. Maybe I'm just frustrated. Maybe I'm tired. A lot of times it helps to reset. I read a book last summer that actually talks about this a lot. The emotional side and the cognitive side of your brain operate independently or something like that. And a lot of times when the emotional side gets really going, when it's really overwhelmed, when it's freaking out, that's when the cognitive side starts shutting down.
Yeah. So
we all know what that's like. I mean, maybe you didn't realize that's what was happening, but, you know, yeah, you're probably all saying, oh my gosh, that's totally happened to me.
So how do you get over that? How do you get over that hill and start to create?
Interestingly, it's a two-way street. When your cognitive side starts working, starts taking over, that's when the emotional side shuts up and you can start creating again. Now, easier said than done. A lot easier said than done. But sometimes it helps to shift gears. Doing something different, getting some exercise, doing something physical, reading a book, something that kind of gets you away from what you're doing. Taking a break will help reset your cognitive functions.
Quick story for Marshall Vandruff.
Hey, he's a great guy.
And we love Marshall. Hello, if he's watching.
I hope he is.
Thank you if you are. Marshall told us a story one time about how he was working on this Alice in Wonderland project and how he wanted it to be so good and how he was going to make every little thing correct, and just watching him tell the story about how intense he gets and how contorted his face got, and then suddenly he breaks and told us that's no way to create. And he's absolutely right. So a lot of the times what happens is you strain yourself. You kind of have the final thing right here in your mind. You have the final product and you don't realize that there's a lot of work to get there. And so you'll short circuit yourself and say, oh, but I just want to get there. But you want to, you know, so you strain yourself. Techniques, just quick exercises you can do. Maybe.
Sure.
One thing that I learned is you can just take a blank sheet of paper. Now, pick any song or any type of music or anything that you like to listen to, one of your favorite things, and take whatever it is, your marker, your pencil, your brush, your pen, and just make shapes and draw to that. And then eventually, you're not allowed to draw any specific thing. Don't start doing the faces, don't start doing a landscape, don't start drawing horizon lines. It's just supposed to be squiggles. Because then what's supposed to happen is you're in this really kind of nice mood, and then afterwards you're like, okay, now I really want to draw something, now that I've forced myself to do all of these squiggles.
That will help you loosen up, because drawing tightly, just like you were talking about, is no way to work. You can't get good work that way. Even if you can draw flawlessly, it's going to be really tight, and it's not going to have any life to it. You got to draw loosely to get that life in there. It's funny that you brought up music, because that's a technique I actually use. sometimes what I'll do is if I'm really, really locked into something and I need to shut up that emotional side, I'll take a quick break. I'll put on a piece of music, maybe it's orchestral, maybe it's a soundtrack, maybe it's a rock piece. I put on a really great piece of music and I'll sit there and I'll start focusing in on the subtle parts of the music. Maybe if it's a rock song, the bass line, or if it's from a soundtrack, those little pieces of the strings that you just can't hear that clearly, and try to focus on just that section of the music. Now, what that does, especially for us visual artists, so writers, painters, what have you, that gives your eyes a break, your visual input a break. I can't believe I just hit my face on camera. That gives your visual input a break, and you start, using your ears instead of your eyes. You're using a different cognitive function, and that starts letting your cognitive functions flow again, shuts up your emotional side. Now, of course, if you're a music major, you're focusing on music, because again, we're talking about creative block in general, yes. Maybe the answer for you could be something on the other end of the spectrum, looking at a painting,
watching something, maybe.
Watching a film.
Putting a film or a show or that episode or that Vine video that I really, really liked.
Yeah. Your favorite animated film. Something that lets you go in and pick out the little details. That'll, again, tap a different side of your brain, get your cognitive side going, and shuts up the emotional side.
Another thing I think, 2 little shorts, is when you're looking at that, and I think, even though this you do a lot more towards any of you who like to do any sort of drawing medium, get the bad stuff out first.
Oh, yes. yes.
You will start to draw, and you will hate the first thing. And then usually people stop, and they're like, this eye isn't looking how I want it to look. Why doesn't it look that good? This one looked perfect. And then you stop drawing. Keep going. It's okay. You may find that you need to get 1 bad drawing, 5, 10 bad drawings out of the way until you get to number 11, and you're like, oh, that's perfect. And then 11 through 20 look really good. Also, something Jim Daddles taught us, a lot of painters don't start with a white slate. They'll just gray out the entire canvas, because white is a very daunting color, and that can help you as well. So colors, and that's kind of all I have as far as getting over technique for now. Where do we go from here?
I think that actually leads to a nice segue for me. I know as an artist personally, I get so locked into everything I create has to be perfect. Every painting has to be the next big thing. And actually, Jim Daddle's illustration class kind of taught us a different way of approaching. I mean, if you want to create a grand, magnificent illustration or painting, you don't just sit there and start doing it. That's a rubbish way to work. What we had to do in class is we only did 3 projects over the course of the entire semester, and what we would do for each project is go through a design process. So our first project was the anthropomorphic animal. Remember that? And we had sort of a, our animal had basically 3 different requisites. So the type of animal it was, sort of a modifier. Is it a cranky animal, a happy animal? You had what? Irritated?
I had out of the 3 folders of the 3 things, I pulled obnoxious baboon waitress.
That was the 3rd one. You had to have an occupation. For your animal.
What was yours?
Mine was tattooed tiger athlete. I got lucky. I had some good ones on there.
And he was doing the with a ping pong paddle, because that's the type of athlete a tiger would be. That's great, but yeah, comps and everything too, because you'll find that the first one didn't even work. Thumbs. There's a long process that goes into this, and maybe if you doodle, and you just kind of find that you're doing little short things in your sketchbook and that's it, you don't realize that there's a longer process. It's okay, it takes time. It takes time. Yes, some people get lucky, and if you're Charles Schultz and you were just doing Peanuts characters like that, well, look at how many years he did it. That comes with mileage. So don't be afraid of taking your time and actually just going through. It's okay. It's okay. So as we're wrapping things up, we want to say thank you all for tuning in and watching TMI for this episode. This is episode 1. Congratulations, we did it. All right,
10 minutes. I didn't think we could do it.
And as we're going forward, you're going to find that we're going to expand and probably come back and reference other episodes so you can hear these things before, and it'll just be easy to link back. And also, if there's a way that you send us questions and we get a hold of those to expand on certain topics, then we will also do that. Once again, thank you for tuning into TMI. And if I can also end
Yes.
on another quote from Marshall Vandruff, I'm not as good as that person, but I can try. It's a nice little word that we can always kind of
Really
go on
is.
through. Yeah, just kind of, I'm not as good as that person, but I can try. We hope you all have a good day, and keep drawing, filming, creating, whatever it is you do.
Stay classy, America.